Here are the best times to follow up with your leads. What is going on, real estate family? My name is Wandile Mr. W, and I work very closely with real estate agents utilizing AI and technology to help them get more ready to go buyers as well as motivated sellers. If you guys are going to get a lot of value from this video, please feel free to click on the subscribe button, like, share, comment, as well as sharing it with another agent who you think is going to get a lot of value from this. So guys, one question I'm always getting is, Wandile, when should I follow up? How often should I follow up? Should I make a phone call? Should I WhatsApp? How often should I do it? I don't want to spam them. How do I do it without looking spammy or without trying to make it seem like I'm desperate? Guys, I'll be honest with you, there's no one size fits all, but what I'm going to give you is a framework and a blueprint that all of our top clients use to effectively follow up and get results. So what I'm going to show you right now is super top secret, because this is a document that I literally only share with my paid clients that pay us a lot of money, okay, to walk them through exactly what our top clients do to follow up. I'm going to give it to you guys all for free. So guys, be very careful. These strategies work if you put in the work. Anyways, let's dive straight into my laptop and I'll walk you guys through how it works. Alright guys, let's jump straight into the meat and potatoes of today's video, which is essentially the follow-up frequency. Alright, how often should you be following up, and ideally what's the rule of thumb here at the end of the day? Because ultimately guys, the follow-up really is where the money is at. That's where the cash is at. But I see for many agents, a lot of you guys are actually struggling in terms of what's the best way to follow up in terms of frequency, how often you should be following up, and really what should you be doing within that process. So what I decided to do is I decided to just grab one of our templates that we provide to our clients in terms of how often to follow up in the process behind it, as you guys can see. And I'm literally just going to give you guys an overview in terms of how often you should be following up, giving you sort of like a workflow in terms of what you should be doing, especially when you're following up, especially if that lead is fresh and new in your pipeline, in your system, from a phone call type of situation, as well as the WhatsApp. How often you should be WhatsApping them, and ideally what should the focus be regarding that. And then I'll also walk you through in terms of how to follow up if, let's say, for example, you sent over the CMA report and they still have gone silent, and they've got mute, and you want to utilize the same framework for buyers as well. I'll just flip it up and I'll walk you guys through exactly how to do it. If you haven't checked out my other video, which is more in terms of how to follow up effectively when it comes to having the right scripts, I do have that here as well, but you can go watch that video because I really break it down in terms of how to utilize it. So this is really just a document to walk you through, walking my clients through in terms of how often to follow up and the process behind it. Okay, cool, awesome. So there's going to be different scenarios, guys. Now I need to emphasize and stretch this out. This document is mainly for my clients where we are essentially utilizing AI to attract leads coming over to them, but we do understand that not every lead is going to go through our entire process. So we do understand there's going to be leads where the agent does need to follow up, and I walk you through I'll walk them through specifically what they need to do in order to maximize that lead. But you could also still do the same if you have leads right now in your pipeline. Let's say, for example, you've been cold calling and there's some leads that have expressed interest, but now you're trying to get back to them and it's difficult, or maybe they said, hey, call me next week, or all right, no, reach out to me tomorrow, or okay, cool, we're looking to start within the next 2 months, and now you're trying to find a way to get back in there again. I'm going to walk you through in terms of what's the best way to do that, as well as if you've attracted leads. So let's say maybe you've attracted leads through your P24, or maybe you attracted a lead from your principal who gave you a couple of leads, or a colleague has referred you a lead. This is just one of the best ways to follow up effectively to get the job done. So cool. So this is what you want to do for leads who have not responded. All right. So our focus is to increase our response and our contact rate. So what do I mean by response and contact rate? So if you have 100 leads that, let's say, for example, have come into a pipeline, or you've got 100 leads in your pipeline, if you got hold of 50 of those people from the 100 leads, then you have a 50% contact rate. We want to get it to at least 80% contact rate, because if we can get it to 80% contact rate, then we know for a fact that we're definitely going to crush it and kill it. I do have a video in terms of how to increase your contact rate, and if you haven't checked that out, just check on one of the 2 blips. I'll make sure I add it in there. And it's the video is called 3 reasons why your leads aren't closing, and I break that down in full detail. So this is essentially what you want to do, especially if your leads have not responded. Let's say, for example, you had an appointment and maybe they went ghost, or you want to be following up. This is essentially what you want to do, especially if the lead is either fresh in your pipeline or you're trying to re-engage in that conversation. So I always like to say, especially if the new lead is fresh in your pipeline, right? Let's say you had a conversation with the lead, everything went well, and you need to follow up again, maybe let's say next week, or let's say a new lead has expressed interest, like, hey, I'm looking to buy a house, or hey, I'm thinking of selling, and you're trying to get back into that conversation, or you're trying to get hold of them. This is what you want to do. I always like to say is that you want to call non-responsive leads at different times of the day, at least 11 times in 3 days. Guys, there's a window here, okay? And the reason why I want to explain this quickly is if you don't contact your leads as much as possible within a certain window or time frame, they're going to get colder and colder and colder and colder. So what we want to do essentially is, while they're still hot, while they're still warm, we want to maximize on that as soon as possible. I'll tell you guys a quick funny story. So I remember when I was at the gym, there was this attractive, beautiful woman who, for example, we would always be locking eyes, like would always lock eyes, but I'd never made that approach. So only after 2 months, I finally mustered up the confidence to go speak to her. And what she told me was, hey, Wandile, if you spoke to me last month or 2 months back, I would have given you my number, but you took your time, right? So I was bummed because it's like, damn, if I had just approached her within that 2 months, or if I had just approached it 2 months back or last month, I would have gotten the number, but it took me time to get there. That's exactly the same thing that's going to happen with your sellers and buyers, where if they express interest or if they show that they are slightly interested, you need to maximize on that lead as soon as possible. Hence why we want to be a little bit more aggressive in the first 3 days, because that's essentially where we want to maximize their peak interest. So this is the framework that we like to utilize. And again, I've spoken to all of our top clients to find out how are they maximizing their leads, especially when they're following up. And this is what they all do, right? It's a little bit of a mixed match in terms of what they do. But basically, within the first 3 days, this is what they do, okay? They call twice in the morning, and then they call once in the afternoon, and then they call once at night. That's day 1. Day 2, they'll do another 4 calls. Once in the morning, twice in the afternoon, once at night. Day 3, they'll do once in the morning, once in the afternoon, twice at night. Okay. Now, the whole purpose of this at the end of the day is, guys, is to figure out, number 1, which of these 3 days are you getting a lot of contact rates, right? How often are they picking up and finally having a conversation with you? Okay. Another thing as well is to figure out which time of the day or which space in the day are you getting your leads to get hold of you, or are you getting your leads to finally respond to you or pick up? That's the whole purpose of this, guys. The whole reason why we go aggressive in the first 3 days is because we need to figure out, okay, actually, I've noticed after, let's say you do 50 calls, I've noticed that most of my leads pick up at night. Or I've noticed most of my leads on day 3, that's when they actually pick up at night. Or I've noticed most of my leads on day 2, they typically pick up in the afternoon, right? You need to figure that out. Unfortunately, we can't figure that out for you. You need to do the reps, right? And then track and see, okay, from these 50 leads that I called, I've got a 50% contact rate, which means that I got in contact with 25 of these leads. Where did they pick up? Was it day 1, day 2, day 3? And at which stage of the day? Was it in the morning, was it afternoon, or was it at night? Because once you can figure that out, now you've got a pattern. Now guys, everything in life is a pattern, okay? That's the reason why we understand that, hey, in June, things get cold. Hey, we know in December, it's summertime, right? Nature has pattern. So everything in life is a pattern. And once you can track your data and you understand your patterns, you never have to stress anymore, because now you know, hey, okay, there's some leads that I need to follow up with. Now you have a repeatable process that you can utilize. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of doing this, is to do as many reps as possible, figure out which of one of the 3 days are you getting the most responses, and then you just want to replicate that as much as possible. That hey, okay, if I want to get an extra 2 deals this month, I've got 100 leads in my pipeline, let me do the 3-day process. And you actually start to see results, and then that brings confidence in you, so you don't have to worry about, where am I going to get my next lead from? So it's very important, guys. If leads are not responsive, you want to at least call them 11 times in 3 days at different times of the day. You can even switch it up. I've got clients that would literally have 2 phones, right? They'll have the original phone, then they have another 2 phones, right? These are like very inexpensive phones. Like maybe the phone is 700, 800 bucks. They'll have 2 different SIM cards, okay? And essentially what they're doing there is that they're calling the leads with different numbers. You see? So it's all about, okay, what's the best way for me to get in contact with the lead? It's very important to do that because some of your leads will probably have Truecaller installed on it. And maybe when you were using that same number to call some other leads in the past and the leads marked you as spam, guess what? When that lead sees you calling, they might have forgotten about your conversation. And then guess what? They're going to mark you as spam. So what you want to do is that at least if you have another 2 phones, you can use those 2 different phones for follow-ups. That's what my top clients do. And it is powerful. So sometimes, guys, at the end of the day, many of you guys are not where you want to be because you're not actually thinking outside the box. You're not actually doing the work that needs to be done in order for you to get the results that you want. Okay, so those would be the tips that I would give you guys, some nuggets that you want to utilize. All right. So as I've mentioned, reach out at different times to see which leads respond the best. And then only tracking your calls and data on responses and at which day do they typically pick up. And the goal here is to keep your contact rate at consistently 70%. So if you have 100 leads in your pipeline, if you have 100 leads in your list, you should at least have a contact rate of 70%, meaning you should have had at least 70 conversations. Whether they said they're not interested or don't call me again, we need a 70% contact rate because the higher the contact rate, the more people we can get in contact with. And the more conversations we have, what do you think is going to happen? The more appointments we have. But the problem is many of you guys have a 10% contact rate, have a 15 or 20% contact rate, and then you're wondering why you're not getting any appointments. You have to put in the reps, guys. You have to put in the reps. You have to do the reps. If you're not going to do the reps, then how do you expect to get more appointments? Okay, so that's from a phone call side. Then at the same time as well, what you want to do is that you want to WhatsApp them at least 5 times in 3 days. So for example, on the first day, you're going to do 4 calls, right? 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 1 at night. And then on day 1, the exact same day, you want to do a confirmation of evaluation request and a voice note to confirm evaluation request. So what I was saying here to my clients, because this is more from a seller side, I was telling my clients that, okay, if someone has expressed interest in getting evaluation, but now you haven't necessarily got in contact with them and had a conversation, right? Then what you want to do, you want to call them 4 times on day 1. And then you also want to send a WhatsApp to confirm the evaluation request. So for example, hey, Julie, I see that you had responded to my ad. You were requesting for evaluation. Is that correct? Or have you given up on that, for example? All right. And then we wait and see if they respond. We'll send that message in the morning. And then towards the end of the day, we'll send a voice note. Hey, Julie, I just wanted to triple check and see if you got my message. Please let me know and let me know what would the next steps be, for example. Or let me know what would be work best for you, for example. And that's just a quick voice note. Guys, a 10-second voice note works very well because in your lead's mind, it's like, okay, it's 10 seconds. They can listen to it. But now if you're going to send paragraphs, now if you're going to send a voice note for 2 minutes, nobody's going to listen to that. It's like, what the hell is this person speaking about? But if it's 10 seconds, what is it doing? It's triggering curiosity. Now they're like, okay, let me listen to that. So you see when you call, and then in conjunction, you also send messages, you get their attention. So let's say, for example, still no response. Then day 2, do the same process. You call them 4 times. But now, twice in the afternoon, once in the morning, 1 at night. Day 2, again, you confirm the address for the valuation request and you send a video to confirm valuation request. So this is for my clients specifically where if we have leads coming over into their system, and the leads haven't responded yet, well, some leads, this is what they need to do. So day 2, this is what we say. We send a text message and say, hey, I just wanted to confirm, is this X and X your address? So with our system, the system will then find out what's the lead's address because the lead would have to add in their address. So again, we're just going to ask them, hey, Julia, I just wanted to confirm your address. Then we add in the address with a question mark, leave it as that. Okay. The reason why we're keeping the messages very short and succinct is because we want that lead to be like, yeah, that's my address. Now they're going to open it. We want them to open the messages. It's very important that we do that or we utilize that strategy to get them to open up because now they'll have a higher propensity of responding. And if they still don't respond, we'll send a video to confirm the valuation request again. So essentially what I like to tell my clients is that you can either flip the switch on your camera and be like, hey Julie, I've tried to contact you, and let me know what's the next steps for us to do this valuation for you. And then I'll tell them to like maybe grab a piece of paper and be like, yeah, I've got something handy here, but I'm not sure in terms of if this is your address, so please let me know if you can just confirm your address and I can work on that valuation for you. Boom, done. Video is literally about 10 seconds or 20 seconds long. They're gonna go check that out, because now when they see that on their phone, they're like, oh, okay, 10-second video or 20-second video, what did they send me? It's evoking curiosity. Sometimes you don't even have to flip the camera. You can literally just show your camera, get like a page. I wish I had a page now. This is the page. I'll literally get the camera on the valuation, right? And then I'll just put it like this, like, hey Julia, so I'm actually working on your valuation, but I just wanted to confirm your address. Let me know if that's your correct address, and we can start working on a valuation for you. All right, cheers, bye. Boom, hang up. And then I'll send that recording to that lead. And that video is like what, 10, 15 seconds long? What is that doing, guys? Evoking curiosity. Now it's going to get them to open that message. It's important, guys, because we want to create bait that's going to get them to open the message. If we're not going to create bait, then how are you going to get your leads to open the message? So please, guys, stay away from long messages. It's not going to work. All right. And then lastly, day 3, we'll send a desktop report and a breakup message. So what I mean by a desktop report could be just literally a very vague, high level desktop report. And I always like to advise my clients, make it one page. What they can even do is that they can replicate one and create one on Canva, okay? Add in the values, okay? I always like to tell my clients, you either want to overinflate it or you want to keep it very low. But the best way is to keep it low so that we can get them to respond and say, no, I was expecting my home value to be higher than that. Boom, now we can push for an appointment to see them in person. So normally what we'd do, what I advise my clients is send a desktop report. I always like to say, look, either overinflate it or bring it low. My best advice, make it as low as possible so they can be like, what? I never thought that my home would be worth this. So let's say, for example, it's in an area where typically the homes are worth 2 mil. I would tell my clients, make it 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. It needs to be very low to a point where they're like, no ways, they cannot be possible. Okay. And then the whole purpose of doing that is for them to respond. To be like, no, that can't be true. Why is my home value that low? What are we doing? We're triggering response. That's why we kept it very low. And then now the purpose of that is for them to respond. But if they still don't respond, then we'll send a breakup message and say, hey, look, I've just sent you the desktop report. And look, it's going to be very difficult for us to actually see what the actual potential value of your home could be. So if you are if you maybe feel like this value could be low, then please feel free to let me know in terms of what you think your home could be potentially worth, and we could then maybe see what we can do to maybe fix that. Okay, that could be one option. Or you could say, hey, I noticed that you have not responded, and it's okay. I just wanted to find out if you're still keen on getting a valuation, or if you gave up on that, as an example. All right. You can also use this here at a later stage. Hey, Julia, I wanted to get back to you about this. I see I sent you a desktop valuation a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't get a response. Did you end up giving up on that, or what happened? That could be another way to resuscitate the pipeline, the lead back into your pipeline, if after you send the breakup message and they still haven't said anything at all. One thing you need to realize this, guys, is that your leads are very busy individuals. Okay? So the same way that you guys are very busy, your leads are also very busy as well. So that's why it's important to attack them at all different angles. Attack them through phone calls. Attack them through WhatsApp as well. Okay, because some leads are better through responding through a phone call. Some leads are better responding through WhatsApp. Some leads respond better when you send them a voice note. Some leads respond better when you send them a mini video. Some leads respond better maybe when you send them the actual valuation. So we're trying to attack from different angles. So instead of being from a perspective of you're just constantly calling like, hey, are you keen to sell your house right now? Hey, are you ready to sell? Or hey, I just sent you the CMA report. You're minimizing your option or your chances of actually getting faster responses, okay, or getting them to move forward with the next step by just using one avenue. We want to call, we want to WhatsApp, and even in WhatsApp, we want to send voice notes, all right? We want to send material. We want to find ways to get them to respond, because once they respond, boom, then we have them in. So the point I'm trying to really drill with you guys is you want to create bait to get them to respond. So don't just only call them. You want to send WhatsApps and then use different materials to then reel them in. Don't give them everything all at once, but utilize material to reel them in. Okay, and that's typically for leads who have not responded. Let's say, for example, you haven't sent a CMA report or you've now sent a desktop report. Now, I know there's many leads as well, for example, where let's say the leads who went silent after you send them the CMA report. So let's say, for example, you have engaged with the lead, you have sent them over the CMA report, and they said they'll get back to you, and they haven't gone back to you, right? What do you do then? Same process, okay? Same process. But now this is important. The reason why you want to do this is because if we want to aggressively increase your appointment rate, we need to make sure that we are following up as much as possible. So if I sent a CMA report on a Monday, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I am following this entire process like crazy. I need to follow this process, because if I don't follow this process every single day, the chances of me getting that appointment is literally going slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. So if you manage to see the lead or talk to the lead and they're happy for you to send over that CMA report, you need to make sure as soon as you send that, this is what you need to do, hands down. Same process, okay? You want a day 1, day 2, day 3, twice in the morning, once in the afternoon, one at night, once in the morning, twice in the afternoon, once at night, okay? The whole purpose here again is to get them to respond. Now, if you have your 2 other phones as well with 2 different numbers, you can then utilize maybe day 1 for your original number, day 2 for another phone number, day 3 for another phone number. And then actually go and see which one specifically are you getting the most responses from. That's the first option. Then, same process with the WhatsApp. Okay, day 1, CMA document confirmation, and then you send a voice note to confirm if CMA was well received. So you could be like, hey, just wanted to confirm if you received the CMA report. Let's say you haven't met them in person and you just send it to them via email or you send it to them via WhatsApp. You want to first send a message to find out if they can, if they've confirmed that they received the CMA report. Okay, make it, guys, one-liners. Don't write paragraphs. People don't like reading paragraphs, guys. One-liners. Boom. Ask them if they've confirmed it. Okay. If they still haven't responded, later on the day, send them a voice note. Hey, Julia, just reaching out to confirm if the CMA was well received. Done. Leave it at that. Don't talk. Just keep it very simple. Make sure that voice note is 5 seconds or 10 seconds long. Why? We need to create bait so that we can get them to click and to listen. Okay. Now, next thing, day 2. You want to send a voice note to give a quick summary why it's possibly lower than expected. All right. So the reason why is because if you haven't met them in person and they just wanted a desktop valuation, then you give them that valuation, but make sure it's super low. And then you give a voice note summary to say, hey, look, so I just wanted to quickly explain why the home value could be lower than expected. It's because of this and this and this. But you need to make sure that your 3 points or your 2 points is the fact that you haven't been to their home, you haven't done an inspection, and you need to have a little bit of a better conversation with them in person so that you can give them more accurate results. Why are we doing that? We're trying to get into their homes. We're trying to push for that appointment. Okay? Then you want to send them a message asking their thoughts on their own value expectation. So after that, maybe later on the day, you can say, hey, let me know what are your thoughts, or let me know what you thought your home was worth, for example. Okay? What am I doing here, guys? I am again pushing them to respond. When you ask clients their opinions, most people are always going to talk about themselves or talk about their opinions. We love to talk about ourselves. We love to talk about our own opinions. So when you say that to a question, when you send that as a message or as a question to your seller, they're going to want to respond, right? Because you're asking them, hey, let me know what was your expectation. So once they've seen the report and they see that the value is lower than expected and they listen to your voice note and now they see what you're saying in terms of, hey, let me know what are your thoughts, right? Let me know what you were thinking, or let me know what price range you were looking at. Now they're going to respond. They were like, well, I thought mine was boom, boom, boom. Boom, now you've got them reeled in. And then you want to call them, confirm for an appointment. And then the next thing is, if they still don't respond, send a message to see if they would like a detailed report, which would result in a higher CMA. So you could say, hey, look, if you are looking for a detailed report, let me know if you'd like that, and if you'd like that, we can work that out, for example. That's what you could send over to them. And if they say, yes, we would love that, then you can say, okay, cool, awesome. Let's set up an appointment, or let me know if it would make sense for us to set an appointment. We just need to do a quick inspection so that we can actually see any renovations that you've done on your home. And if you have, boom, then we'll do that detailed CMA report. Can you see what I'm doing there? Now it's leading me to see them in person. So the whole purpose, guys, of this follow-up frequency script and the process behind it is, if you have leads that have expressed interest but you haven't had a conversation with them, this is exactly what you need to do to get their response, okay, or to get them to respond back to you. And if, let's say, you've already sent that CMA report and they still went ghost, this is exactly what you need to do to utilize to get them in person. Now, this will obviously vary. If you're cold calling, where I would say, if you're cold calling, I would say that this is perfect if you had leads that have now expressed interest in selling their house and they're now looking to do a CMA report. This is perfect for once you do that. Okay, this is not the way that you want to do it if you're cold calling. That's a whole different ball game. This is now if people have expressed interest, but now you're struggling for them to commit on that interest. That's what I mean. This is what's going to work absolutely well here. Okay, and then this over here would work really well once you send them over that CMA report. Okay, but you haven't met them in person, or even if you've met them in person, all right, this is the best way for you to follow up to get their little bit of feedback in terms of what are they expecting. If they want a desktop valuation, always make it lower than expected so that you have a way to reel them in again to create that conversation or to meet them in person if you haven't yet already. Anyways, guys, if you got a lot of value in that, please feel free to share this with another agent. Don't forget, guys, like, share, comment, and subscribe. I do have some follow-up scripts that you can utilize. Again, this is also a different approach in terms of what you can utilize through the methods that I've shown. So we've got the direct approach, we've got the value based, we also have the old leads. I do have a video which is more effective follow-ups that you can utilize, and I noticed a lot of people got a lot of value from this, so you can still utilize these scripts. I have created a video on that, so you want to go check that out. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care. And lastly, I do host a masterclass every single Thursday to walk you through how an AI robot essentially attracts, qualifies, and books automatic appointments. If that's you and you're interested in that, click on the link in the description. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, king.listing. I post videos there every single day to give you guys value and nothing but exceptional strategies to help you guys stand out. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one, guys. Take care.